This discussion is a masterclass in how to talk for 10 minutes without ever answering the question that was actually asked. You'll hear appeals to emotion, edge case examples, semantic gymnastics, and a whole lot of "but what about?" none of which ever touch the core argument. Instead of engaging with responsibility, you'll see constant attempts to renegotiate definitions in real time. So as you watch this, don't listen to what they say they believe. Watch what they refuse to accept. That's where the truth is.
You said you want to be submissive to a man and follow his lead, but that doesn't mean that I shouldn't have any input that should be fairly considered in big decisions. Does negotiation and compromise have a place in relationship? How does that fit into absolute submission? Andrew probably would like to have a back and forth with you on this one.
And can I add something to that?
Sure.
Because this is something that we talked about earlier. What if I'm the primary income earner in a relationship, and maybe that's not ideal, but when it comes to if I was more of the provider, would the expectation of the role change? Or would I be expected to relinquish all of my income to the man to make decisions with it?
Yes, you would, and I'll explain why.
One thing really quick first.
This right here is the modern female assumption in one sentence. Money equals authority. And that's never been true. Historically, biologically, or morally. Leadership has never been about who earns the most. It's always been about who carries the risk and who absorbs the consequences when things go wrong. And if money equals authority, then this logic gets absurd really fast. If a child starts making more money than their parents, does that mean the child now runs the household? Does the teenager get final say just because they earn more? Of course not, and everyone knows that. Because authority doesn't come from income. It comes from responsibility, liability, and who is accountable when things go wrong. Parents still lead because they bear the burden, not because they earn the most. Authority doesn't come from writing checks. It comes from being the one who stands in front when things get dangerous. And that's exactly what's happening here. She's not asking a question. She's making a claim. She wants the authority that comes with provision, without accepting the burden that traditionally justifies leadership in the first place.
If I were to start dating Kylie Jenner, yeah, she's going to listen to me.
I will explain my rationale before you say you want to die alone.
Yeah. I like hearing your point of view.
Let's start with this. If you had to put a value on something, what is the most valuable thing you can think of? The most valuable thing you could ever envision. The thing which, if it's taken away, can never be gotten back. I would say life.
Life, okay.
I'd say life. Would you disagree with that?
No, you can never get that back.
Yeah, right. Once it's taken, you can never get it back.
Yeah.
You see, once you admit that life is the highest value, the debate is over. Authority flows from whoever is expected to lose the most. If you expect a man to die for you, you don't get to deny him leadership. You cannot demand sacrifice and reject hierarchy. That's wanting the benefits of order without submitting to it.
A man's obligation is to die on your behalf. So if there's a threat or danger to you, his job's to die before you die. You cannot replace that. So he cannot be replaced by anything else because his job's to sacrifice himself for you. So yeah, you give up the money and you give up the control, you give up the power, but the exchange to all of that is that when the lifeboats go off of the Titanic, who gets in them first? Who gets in them first?
Women and children.
Yeah, women and children. So if the man is to be the sacrifice for you, he gives his life for you, then why is it problematic for you to turn over the dominance in a relationship to him?
I don't want to be the dominant, but especially if I'm the breadwinner, I would want significant consideration for my...
Women don't die for men.
Every time someone says, "but," you can pretty much ignore everything that came before it. She absolutely wants dominance, just selectively. This is situational submission, which is really just another way of saying no submission at all. And notice something important here. Nobody actually disputes the lifeboat analogy. They accept the protection, they just don't want to accept the implication that comes with it. They emotionally reject a man's authority, but they can't logically escape it. Authority isn't some special privilege men are handed for existing. It's compensation for obligation. If you expect a man to die for you, you don't get to simultaneously deny him leadership. You don't get sacrifice without hierarchy.
Ever. They don't ever die for men. Men die for women all the time, nonstop. Women do not sacrifice their lives for men. You can't show me a historic standard anywhere where that's ever happened. They don't do it. There may be some exceptions where some woman has done self-sacrifice on behalf of a man for her life versus his. Essentially, it never happens. I mean, for all practical purposes, men are always the ones who give up their lives on behalf of women and children. Their actual life. Now, you can make an argument that, well, a woman gives up her life over years of time and blah, 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 but that would apply to men too. Men actually lay their lives down in defense of you, defense of the nation, defense of your home, defense of your honor, defense of your pride, defense of your name. They lay their lives down for everything. Here's an example of this, right? I just want to ask the panel, and we can ask the entire panel this question, and I think that through this, we'll be able to reason this out. If a man who you are with, you're walking down the street, and another man insults your honor, do you think that it's appropriate, and would you want the man that you're with to protect your honor? Meaning, if a man you're with, you're walking down the street arm in arm, another guy comes by and pinches your ass, don't you prefer that your man turns around and smacks him across the mouth? Raise a hand. Yeah, that's right. That's right. And
I have
when does
an
that happen?
anecdote about
and,
this,
and,
though.
and hang on, when does that happen in reverse? Not often. So the thing is that men are always there putting, now, by the way, a physical confrontation with another man doing that on your behalf leads to death. It leads to death for men. Just protecting your honor leads to death for men all the time. In fact, more men in the United States are killed with feet and hands than they are with AR-15s. Because this is such a happenstance. It happens so often that men engage in physical combat with each other, often on behalf of women's honor. This does not happen in reverse. So since that is the case, yeah, give up your money. Yeah, give up your money, give up your control, because that's what you get in exchange. We don't get that in exchange. Who's dying for us? Not you. Not women. Women aren't dying for men. Show me where women are collectively dying for men. Anywhere. Ever.
Childbirth.
Nowhere. Nowhere. Go ahead. I'm waiting. I want to hear an
Not
example.
giving birth to their
when
child?
When collectively, can you guys name that women have ever died on behalf of men? Laid their lives down on behalf of men. Give me one example.
Childbirth.
No, they don't do it. During childbirth, they're not doing it on behalf of men. They're doing it on behalf of their children. They're doing it on behalf of their
I think women are
children.
doing it on behalf of the baby that their man put inside of them. So I
Yeah,
would
so the
argue that they
baby,
are doing
yes,
it for
the baby, they're
men.
laying
And a
down their
man
lives.
is
And
not
now
physically
they don't
capable
even
of
do
doing that.
Now they kill their children. Now they kill them. They don't even bother having them anymore.
Okay, nobody
So
was
the
talking
thing-
about that.
Yeah, but we are talking about that.
This is a category mistake. Childbirth is not a sacrifice for men. It's a biological function oriented toward offspring. No woman gives birth thinking, I'm risking my life so my husband doesn't have to. That's not the intent, and intent matters morally. Men die instead of women. Women give birth for children. Those are fundamentally different kinds of sacrifices, and they're not comparable. And if childbirth really were a sacrifice for the man, then we wouldn't see what we see after divorce. Women wouldn't automatically claim custody. Fathers wouldn't be reduced to visitors, and men wouldn't routinely have their access to their own children restricted or weaponized against them. Because the behavior tells the truth. Childbirth is treated as her sacrifice, her child, and her authority, not something done on behalf of the man. And the abortion contradiction destroys this argument entirely. You cannot claim childbirth as sacrificial virtue while defending abortion culture. If childbirth is proof of female sacrifice, then abortion is proof that sacrifice is optional. You don't get to have it both ways.
Isn't half of the babies masculine?
You saying that you will birth your child, you're not doing that on behalf of your man. That's insanity.
But a child can be a man as well, right?
I think
What?
it means like your man, like
Okay.
your
I see what you're
partner.
saying.
Yeah, we're talking about somebody who is doing the thing for the purpose of the protection of X thing. Men lay their lives down, and the historic standard that I can appeal to is that men collectively always lay their lives down for women and
So
children.
protecting your
The
baby?
hang on, stop, let me finish. The reverse never happens. Point to me where the reverse ever happens.
Okay, so protecting your baby by giving childbirth isn't enough.
I don't even know what that means. What does that even mean?
So abortion or not, it's the same? It's not protecting
No,
your
it's not the
child
same.
if you give
But
birth?
if you're bearing your child, you're not doing that on behalf of your man. You're doing that on behalf of you and the child.
Yeah, so a child can be a man as well, right?
No, a child's not a man. No,
What? What?
that would be a boy.
Masculine then.
I think that's just like a women's role, though, that men are not capable of. So, I mean, you are doing it on behalf of your joint couple as a woman, and you are risking
No,
your life.
men are expected to do this for strangers' children and strangers' women. Otherwise, we would not have the lifeboat analogy, would we?
And this is the knockout punch. Men are expected to sacrifice even for strangers. Women aren't. That alone proves Andrew's argument.
I think it's also kind of like a dangerous thing, though.
I think
because-
you should answer to what I actually just said, which is, why do we have the lifeboat analogy that women and children get on the lifeboats
I'm not disagreeing with
It's
you.
not those aren't my women and my children. Why do they get on the lifeboats first?
I'm not disagreeing with you that that's a man's role, but I'm just saying that I do think that a woman going through childbirth is an example of her doing something that's risking her life on behalf of a man.
They're not doing it on behalf of men. Demonstrate
You're doing it on
how they're
behalf
doing
of
it
your
on behalf of the
husband.
man.
You're doing it on behalf of your husband who put the child inside
No,
of you.
you're not doing it. First of all, most childbirths are not even done anymore by the husband.
Why?
Half these chicks get knocked up by some random guy they never even talked to again. How
Why?
are they doing it on behalf of men?
Why do women and children get in the lifeboat?
Because men have always been sacrificial lambs on behalf of other men and women and children. Because you're the weaker sexes, and you both women and children. Look, you laugh. How am I wrong? I'm sorry, are women the
sexes?
stronger or weaker sex?
Women tend to get offended whenever physical strength inequality is mentioned. And it's not because it's false, but because it's uncomfortable. Because it exposes a truth they don't want to face. Physical inequality is exactly why they cannot take authority over men. And I find it funny. They demand the protection that comes from male strength, but get offended the moment you actually spell out why that protection exists. Because if women weren't physically weaker, none of these protections would exist. You can't have protection and then deny the vulnerability that justifies it.
Does it have anything to do with women and children can inform the future more so than men? Like children
No.
can grow up to be
How
men
so?
to sacrifice, and women
one man can repopulate against 50 women, but women are limited to only being able to be pregnant from one man at a time.
Yes,
so
but
no,
there have
that
to be
argument
women.
makes no sense either.
But there have to be
the
women,
truth is
though.
that one single man could repopulate the earth. One woman could not. One single man could repopulate the entire planet Earth.
As long as
Every
there were
single
women
day,
there.
You could screw a different chick and impregnate her. A woman cannot do that.
But
So
that's
no,
why we need each
women,
other.
When you talk about the necessity of the future, a single woman could not be necessary to the future, whereas a single man could be.
Yeah, I agree that men and women should be on Earth. Like, both of them.
Oh, well, I mean, that's
yeah.
great. What a great argument. I also agree that they deserve to be on Earth. I
Yeah,
don't
men
know
are
what that has to do with
stronger,
my
but they
argument.
need women, and women
I
need
agree
men.
that the whatever podcast studio should have windows. I mean, I don't know
Yeah,
what the hell
I
you're
agree as
talking
well.
about,
Yeah,
so.
we both need each other, right?
This is meaningless agreement masquerading as a rebuttal. When someone says, yes, we need each other, it sounds reasonable, but it doesn't contradict hierarchy. A ship needs both a captain and an engineer, but that doesn't make them equal in authority. Needing someone doesn't automatically give them decision-making power. Authority follows responsibility, not mere presence. And here's the pattern you see over and over. Anytime they start losing the argument, they retreat to a neutral framing to avoid conceding. pretending everything is equal, trying to erase hierarchy. But when they think they can win, they push for superiority. They want control when they think they can take it, and equality only when conceding is the alternative. That's why all these "we need each other" statements sound agreeable but are ultimately meaningless. They're trying to have it both ways: accept protection, reject authority, and deny the responsibility that comes with hierarchy.
So what?
Yeah, well, yeah, okay, but this has nothing to do with my argument. This has nothing to do with my argument.
Oh, but you can have the
So
arguments.
here's my argument. Ready? I'm going to tell you my argument again because you just don't seem to understand it, right? Men collectively lay their lives down for women. Women collectively do not lay their lives
What
down
about
for
women
men.
in the military?
What about them?
Are they not lying?
I'm sorry. Do you think that the military is made up of mostly men or women?
No. I'm just speaking about these specific women in the military. Who are they lying?
What do you think the word collectively means?
I'm asking you a question,
And
Andrew.
I'm asking you,
women
what do
in
you
the
think the word
military.
collectively means?
Women in the military.
Restate my argument.
I'm restating my question.
Yeah.
Women in the military.
I need you to contend with the argument
Okay.
I made first. Can you restate my argument?
This has nothing to
first?
do with what I'm talking about.
Can you restate my argument?
Your argument is that women do not lay their lives down for men. Women
Wait,
in
what
the
about word
military have
collectively?
signed
No,
up
that's not
to.
my argument. You're lying to
Yes,
your
the
teeth.
collective
What does the
group
word
of women in the
collectively
military.
mean?
Collectively, the
What
group of
does the
them.
word
The
mean?
group,
What does the word collective mean?
the group of women in the military, that would be the collective of women in the military, are laying
is
their
not the
lives
collective of
down.
women.
That is
No,
a collective
that's
of
a third.
women.
This is textbook exception fallacy. Pointing to a small minority does not overturn a collective pattern. And the reason this exchange keeps going in circles is because she doesn't actually know what the word collective means. Women in the military is not women collectively. It's a small subset, and an even smaller subset of that is in actual combat roles. The overwhelming majority of combat deaths, historically and right now, are male. That's not opinion, that's data. And this idea that women are out there fighting wars the same way men are comes straight from movies and empowerment narratives, not reality. Women serve, yes, but they are not the ones being sent to die as a class. And when someone keeps reframing your argument instead of restating it accurately, it's because they can't defeat it as stated. If she could repeat his argument correctly, she'd immediately see why her objection doesn't work, which is exactly why she refuses to do it.
Okay, so just to get this right, I just want to make sure that we're correct here.
Let's make
assume
sure.
for a second that if we're looking at all the prisons in the United States with prison guards, and you have one prison that has more female guards than men, but all the other prisons have more male guards than they do women. When you say the word "who collectively make up the most amount of prison guards,"
Okay, the majority.
you would say, well, yes, it's men, except in this one prison. Who gives a shit? It has no bearing on the argument at all.
Okay, so women in the military are not laying their lives down for men. They're
No,
only
in
laying
fact,
their
they're
lives
not.
down for
In fact,
American
they're not.
women.
I'll tell you what. Give me a war. Name any war you want, and I'm going to tell you the combat deaths of women in that war from being in the
Let's
military.
speak
Give
in
me a
present
single one.
times. Let's speak in present
Any
times.
present war.
There's-
present war.
I'm talking about present wars that we
I'm
are.
talking about present wars too.
Okay.
Any present war. And
Okay,
I'll
I
tell
think
you
that
the
you're
amount
just
of combat
upset
deaths
that
from women.
I disproved your point, and it's
I agree.
No, you didn't
okay.
disprove
I agree.
anything.
It's
Give me a
okay.
present
It's
war.
okay. It's okay.
A
Women lay their
present
lives
war.
down for men too.
You're
It's
still
okay.
just talking. Can you answer my question? Can you give me a present war, and I'll give you the deaths, the military deaths of
But there's
women in
not an
combat
equal number
from
of
that
men
war.
and women in the military, or a majority of women in the military. So of course there's going to be more men who die.
And this right here is the collapse. Andrew breaks it down to kindergarten level. Analogies, definitions, step-by-step logic, and she still walks away thinking she won. That's not disagreement. She's just not smart enough to follow the argument. Notice what actually happened. She concedes there aren't equal numbers of men and women in the military, which is the entire point. The expectation of sacrifice is unequal. Men are the class expected to die. Women are not. Then she accidentally seals it by admitting that, of course, more men die. Yes, exactly. That's the conclusion she spent the entire exchange trying to avoid. You don't get to admit unequal participation, unequal exposure, and unequal death, and then pretend the sacrifice is equal. That's not how logic works. And when she can't answer a direct question, she pivots to condescension. That's always the tell. That's what people do when the argument is lost, but conceding would cost them the narrative. Andrew asked for one simple thing: identify a war. She couldn't do it because the numbers would destroy the claim instantly. And that's the whole debate in one frame: emotional certainty versus empirical reality. If men are the ones collectively expected to die, then authority flows from that expectation. You don't get sacrifice without hierarchy, and you don't get to deny leadership while demanding protection. And if this exchange frustrated you too, if you're tired of people declaring victory while contradicting themselves in real time, hit like, subscribe, and tell me in the comments exactly where you think the argument collapsed. Because this wasn't complicated, it was just uncomfortable.